We easily get so immersed in our immediate surroundings and society that we forget the world is a very broad and diverse place. There are many cultures and lifestyles that people follow around the world, but every now and then, a way of life becomes known to us that is unlike anything we have ever seen before. From people who are deathly allergic to the sun, to supernatural sea gypsies who are able to withstand fatal levels of oxygen deprivation, here are 15 people who live a strange life. Number 15. The Forgotten Vanuatu Tribes. Deep in the South Pacific Ocean, there's a nation of islands that is home to some of the most isolated and primitive bush tribes in the world. This is one of the very few places on our planet where bush tribes still live in exactly the same way they did hundreds of years ago. The hidden tribes of Vanuatu show absolutely zero signs of Western influence, making their culture one of the most raw and free we have ever seen. The beliefs of the Vanuatu tribes are based on black magic and animism, which is the belief that all things contain a living essence. Seeing an entire culture who has resisted the changes of the modern world is almost surreal, and the Vanuatu tribes have fascinated and inspired many scientists and researchers since their discovery. Many scholars believe that the reason the Vanuatu people stayed isolated is because of land ownership and them not wanting to leave their home. But the most likely cause for their unbroken isolation from the rest of the world is because of their imprisoning geography. The islands these natives inhabit are dotted with intensely sheer mountainous forests, with gushing waterways that are deep and very often impassable. Before we go on, like this video, smash that subscribe button, and click that notification bell right now, and you'll receive amazing luck for the rest of the week. Number 14. The Sama-Bajo. The Bajo Sea Gypsies are an ethnic group who live an entirely nomadic life floating on the sea, and the story of these people is perhaps one of the strangest we have ever heard. These people live in the water and nobody knows how, and they do not belong to any country, but this does not bother them that much, as they are perfectly content with their simple life on the ocean, unbound by all the modern burdens we suffer such as time, date, and keeping track of your age. These people have an insane superhuman ability. They spend their entire lives on the sea, and as a result, they have become supernaturally adapted to diving. The Sama-Bajo people can easily stay underwater for around 5 minutes or more at a time without coming up for air. It's important to note that a normal human being would have suffered irreparable and often fatal brain damage from being starved of oxygen this long. The way these people have adapted is actually very interesting, and scientists found that they possess two very specific and exclusive genes that gives them an impressive advantage underwater. Firstly, the Sama-Bajo people have adapted so their blood flow is mostly diverted from their lungs to the other vital organs, which makes them able to stay underwater for longer. And they also have a gene that reduces the body's production of carbon dioxide while underwater. Number 13. The Lip Plate Tribe. The Mersey people is perhaps one of the most fascinating native cultures that still exists in our modern world. The tribe still lives in the southwest corner of Ethiopia, a place where some of the oldest human remains ever discovered were found, and the people still follow the ancient ways. One ancient tradition they follow is the process of lip plating, where a woman who reaches puberty will have her lip cut and gradually opened to hold one of these decorative plates. This tradition is said to symbolize fertility and a woman's eligibility for marriage, and it's one of the cultural cornerstones of this tribe. The Mersey tribe also have painting rituals, where they will use minerals from the earth to paint swirling patterns on themselves. The biggest lip plate ever worn by a woman here measured a shocking 7.7 inches across. It's crazy how this is even humanly possible. This village still practices the old ways, but many of the younger girls are starting to opt out of this cultural practice. This integral part of the Mersey tribe heritage is still proudly worn by women here, and many tourists visit this rural village and travel very far to meet this ancient culture, almost frozen in time. Number 12. The Man Who Never Eats. Revered as the Indian holy man, Prahlad Jani is a medical mystery that has baffled scientists for years, and the mystery behind the seemingly immortal man is only deepening. Jani claimed that he had been wandering around the forests of India for 70 years, and in this time, he had not eaten or drank a single thing. Now of course, this sounds crazy because there's no way this is possible, right? Well, scientists are now monitoring the man, and even with weeks under constant observation in a hospital facility, the man does not consume anything, nor does he pass anything, but he seems perfectly normal. Doctors decide to do MRI scans on Prahlad, and what they find is absolutely astonishing. The scans of this old man's brain indicate the brain condition of a 25-year-old by every standard. Could this man really have unlocked the secrets of surviving without any food or drink? This single man is pushing the boundaries of what everyone believed to be humanly possible, but he claims to have gotten his gift from a Hindu goddess who bestowed him with the ability to sustain himself. Leading scientists are now intently studying the man, and some may even believe his abilities may lead to a breakthrough in our ability to travel through space. Number 11. Extreme insomnia. Sleep is a vital part to brain health and survival in general, or so we thought, as the 1-in-a-million case of Thai Nagok might prove this is not exactly true. The Vietnamese farmer was born in 1942, and he lives a humble life, despite not having slept at all since 1973. We all know how intensely painful bouts of insomnia can be, but can you imagine how it must feel to not have slept for nearly 50 years? Not that different apparently, as this 80-year-old man is able to continue about his daily farming tasks without much fatigue, and it seems that his body has adapted to the insomnia. The man claims to have tried everything, from getting blackout drunk, the strongest medication available, but there was just absolutely nothing that would knock him out. Doctors were shocked to find that he is remarkably healthy despite some minor, unrelated kidney issues, but no one can get to the bottom of how this man is able to function and survive without a wink of sleep. Number 10. Allergic to sunlight. One of the most unexpected and unusual diseases can make you allergic to the sun, and despite sounding crazy, this is a real thing, and many people around the world actually suffer from xeroderma pigmentosum. This affliction causes extreme sensitivity to sunlight, to the point where extreme skin reactions can occur from exposure, and sun exposure can even lead to cancer for people suffering with this disease. There are a few cases of this rare disease that have popped up all over the world, but one specific village in Brazil, Araras, is widely known as the village who is melting away. This is because the majority of these people living here have developed this disease due to their harsh tropical sun, and due to the fact that the main livelihood of these people is dependent on farming and being out in the hot, scorching sun. This makes life painstakingly difficult, and this often very painful condition is proving to be a great challenge this community faces. Number 9. 12,000 sneezes a day. They say if you sneeze 3 times in a row, you get a wish, but this poor 12-year-old girl has definitely had her fair share of sneezing. Caitlin Thornley is now the only person in the world with chronic sneezing, and it's taken over her life. One day she was walking out of class and started sneezing, and for some unknown reason, she never stopped. She now lives crippled by her constant sneezing, sometimes as many as 20 a minute. Some of her sneezing episodes can last for 45 minutes at a time, and doctors are at a complete loss. Neurological scientists are now leaning towards the diagnosis that her sneezing might be a tic, and this is something that is more often an issue in the brain itself. We can't imagine what it must be like to never stop sneezing, and all the best medical minds at her local hospital are working to find a cure for this mystery affliction. Number 8. Forever June 11th. This teenage girl once had high hopes of going to college and becoming a doctor, but now she has a memory that resets every 2 hours, and she wakes up every day thinking it's June 11th. This sounds like a classic Groundhog Day situation, but this extremely rare case of amnesia means that she cannot do any of the things she used to love or even keep up in school. On the day of June 11th, the girl was at a concert with her friends when a boy was crowd surfing and fell on her. She ended up having serious head trauma, and upon arriving to the hospital, she began having violent seizures. The doctors managed to treat her, and she made a full recovery, except for the fact that she now cannot form any memories past the point of June 11th. Everything on her medical reports and scans indicate that she is completely fine, and doctors cannot get to the bottom of her rare amnesia. She's now working with doctors and neurological experts who hope to find a cure for her groundhog condition so that she will be able to lead a normal life. Number 7. Dog fanatic. There are very few people on Earth who do not love dogs, but this man in Japan admittedly took his love for man's best friend to a whole new level that, honestly, none of us would have ever seen coming. This Japanese man went to the extreme with his admiration for the long-haired collie, and what you're seeing on screen right now isn't his beloved collie dog. It's the man himself in a shockingly realistic and somewhat frightening costume. A cinematography prop company was hired to design this odd, yet weirdly uncanny dog costume that would allow the man to sit inside and truly live life from the perspective of his favorite animal. This did not come cheap either, as the man spent more than a total of $15,000 on his lifelike dog suit. We are pretty sure this man would fool people walking by him with this perfectly dog-like suit and paw movements, but we aren't entirely sure how we feel about this advancement. His sheer determination is quite impressive, but the need to be the most lifelike version of your dog may still be eluding our understanding for now. Number 6. Dragon Lady. Many of you may have heard about the Dragon Lady, but her life truly stands out as one of the most unique lifestyles on the planet. Tiamat Medusa was born a man, and later in life transitioned to being a woman, after which she found her true passion in life. She has spent over $70,000 in cosmetic procedures, all in the image of transforming herself into a real-life dragon. She has 8 horns implanted on her head, has a severed tongue, and is in the progress of being tattooed from head to toe. Not only that, but she also had her ears removed, since serpents don't have ears, and even her nostrils moved up to resemble a snake's nose instead of a human's. Tiamat has taken body modification as the ultimate sign of self-expression, and she states that she has finally found her identity in another species after being lost her whole life. We must admit the dedication and pain it must have taken to reach this level, but she is determined to finish her look to make her look as dragon-like as possible. Number 5. Wild living. Living in untouched wilderness, with the breaking waves to your foot, lush forests to your back, and snow-capped mountains in the distance, seems like a dream out of some fairy tale world. But this is very much the reality of Warwick Mitchell and the few people who call the remote Fjordland in New Zealand their home. The country's oldest natural park is a pristine landscape of untouched wilderness, and it's only accessible by boat or plane. This makes living here very isolated, but definitely one hell of an adventure. The community here is pretty well equipped with solar power, while relying on the rain for drink water, and they mostly live off the land by fishing or hunting. Living in one of the most pristine and miraculous wilderness areas in New Zealand is a harsh living, but it's worth every bit of it. Being this close to nature as it was intended to be is one of the most fulfilling ways to live, and more people are looking for ways to live like this. Everything that these people need gets flown in by plane, but for most things, you have to make do with what's available. It must be insane to live up close with nature in one of the most beautiful places on Earth, and we're pretty sure we're all quite envious of the life these people have here. Number 4. Old age living. Many people are fascinated with the way the world worked back in the Victorian era, and we must say this time period had a lot of charm. This one couple took their shared fascination with this grand era a bit further, and they have now adapted nearly everything in their house to mere Victorian-style houses and how they would have looked back then. This includes using time-appropriate lighting, tools, and decor to really make them feel immersed in their Victorian-style home. They even dress in the fashion of the time, and the woman makes all her own clothes in fashions of these times. They can sometimes be spotted out and about with the man riding the comically large bicycle that was in production back then. This innocent hobby has become a lifestyle for this couple, but even though they were only indulging themselves in this practice, they have been getting a lot of hate from people who disagree with their lifestyle choices. It's definitely an interesting way to live though, and even though it means sacrificing some modern luxuries, we can see how this could be a very fun hobby to pursue. Number 3. Animal overload. Animals are great companions who are always there for us, but every now and then, we get people who take their love for dogs to an entirely new level, and in the best possible way. These women have given up their home to foster as many pets as humanly possible, and caring for their home filled with dogs has become a full-time job. All the dogs are very well taken care of and happy though, and one lady even runs an operation caring for hundreds of senior dogs. This is a very big commitment, but the good these people are doing for these animals is amazing. We must admit that we have all thought of just adopting every dog we see, and we wish this could always be possible. There aren't many things as great as a home full of dogs that lovingly welcome you home every day, but on the flip side, we don't even want to imagine how many times their home must erupt in a barking cacophony every day. Number 2. Monochrome world. Getting to decorate your home is often one of the most exciting tasks, but where people usually try and stick to a certain color palette, these next enthusiastic homeowners took a different route entirely. These people are absolutely obsessed with making everything in their home and in their life a certain color. Whether it be green, pink, yellow, or purple, these people have chosen a color and stuck to it. Their homes are filled to the brim of objects and walls in all different shades of one color. And even though it doesn't feel like a whimsical candy home, we can't say we'd ever be able to live in a one-color dominated home. Everything they wear matches up to their favorite color too, and doctors state that in some cases, this could be a form of OCD coming forth. It's definitely bright and vibrant inside these people's homes, but it is one of the most interesting and unique ways to live. Number 1. Roach obsession. Now we all know that growing up, we go through phases of collecting the weirdest items, but what this girl has turned into a hobby has left us all squirming in our seats. One day, young Shelby from Oklahoma discovered that she really liked cockroaches and petting them, and an innocent box with 5 cockroaches was made. Her parents blinked, and soon she had thousands of roaches living in containers in her room, and getting them out to play and walk on her is her favorite pastime. Her parents naturally aren't too excited about her new obsession, but because she is very passionate about it, they have found ways to live with her cockroaches hoarding for now. We can excuse a lot of weird collections, but this one just gives us the heebie-jeebies. Apparently, cockroaches are pretty clean, and they seem harmless, but the thought of thousands of roaches crawling around in our room would surely give us restless nights. These odd and fascinating people and the lives they lead are certainly something out of the ordinary. But for now, thanks for watching, and be sure to check out our other videos on screen right now. See you next time, friends!